morning. Hello. Back at it again. Still from Linux. See how it goes. Hopefully better this time. Let me actually check that we're getting correct audio mixing. Yep, sounds good. I discovered after the fact, after last Sunday's stream, that I guess the music was not coming through at all. So I think I fixed that, and hopefully volume levels, it seemed like they were good. All right, so what are we doing today? Well, more game dev. We're gonna do some more stuff in Godot. And we're working on our tower defense. Kind of prototype practice game. Which I think I have this sense that I want to spend a little bit more time on this to kind of like more flesh it out and make it more of an actual game. Still kind of a throwaway project. Like, I don't intend to, like, it's not my dream to make an awesome tower defense game and publish it, right? But you know, it could happen. put it on Steam. Let's see how that plays out. See if we can come up with fun mechanics for it. But yeah, so where were we in terms of a thing that we can run? So we have this view. I think I can scroll wheel out now. That was something I remember now. We were trying to figure out how to make the scroll wheel work last time around. There we go. We have attacking, which we only see in the console. Let's try maybe that level. All right. Yeah, so it's some attacking in the console, and then nothing. So I think I'm supposed to be able to maybe I didn't pull down the latest changes. There was something. So let's see. Let's open scripts. So since the last stream, I actually was playing around with Copilot Agent, coding agent. Had it tried to do some stuff with the camera, and it seemed like that was working okay. Let's see, did we merge that pull request? Yeah. So basically what I did was I'm paying GitHub maybe too much money, I don't know, paying them some money. And that allows me to, I can create an issue and describe scroll wheel not zooming the camera in and out, right? So we were trying on stream last Sunday to make it so that when you scrolled, the camera would zoom in and out, which, because we're in a orthographic perspective, we're just changing the camera size, and that we know works. Right, so I told it that, but I suspect the event handling is not correct. So it opened a PR for me and kind of wrote a bunch of stuff and tried to convince me that what it's doing is good. I told it to add some keys and inputs for zoom as well, so that we could like plus and minus instead of having to use the scroll wheel, and then do smoother zooming. And yeah, so what that ended up changing was, instead of trying to get access for camera zoom in and zoom out, because these are input mapped to the scroll wheel, but that doesn't work. You need to do input dot is action just pressed, right? So the scroll wheel in and out is more of a is it pressed or not a thing that we can get this axis on, I guess. So anyway, so we do a bunch of things here, right? So it's like has zoom in or zoom out been pressed, and then figure out how much to zoom and calculate a target size, and then some other stuff for like tweens. For being able to like gradually zoom in and out rather than like instantly changing the value to the new zoom value for the size of the camera. It should interpolate over time, which is what that tween should do. The question is, okay, so this was merge. So if I go back to here, we can go back to main, pull down stuff. So the way this is supposed to work is that there is a multiplier when shift is held, is what the comment says. So zoom multiplier, if is action pressed, plus 1. Okay, and then we use the multiplier to get actual zoom step, and then that's what we use for plus adding or subtracting from the camera size. Okay, so questions are if zoom fast is actually a thing that we have mapped. So we'll go back here. Yeah, reload from disk. I'll also stop the game and go to project settings, input map. Zoom fast, shift plus shift. Do we think that's seems kind of weird. Shift or shift? Okay, let's try that. Maybe this is a oh yeah, that's much better. All right, cool. So what I ended up doing, so we have the camera located kind of at this angle here, looking down on the scene. And I think this mesh should just be bigger. Oops, 500. I probably also want to, I could anyway, kind of constrain the camera so it can't go too far, outside of some kind of boundary. But I don't know if I care about that right now. The main thing is like, okay, we can zoom out faster. We can see this world. It's really interesting. I guess from an orthographic perspective, like looking like this, we just, like, we should still see the top and the side. So is there like, maybe this is we don't have materials on this to, so keeping in mind that I'm fairly new to doing 3D stuff in Godot, figuring stuff out here, and at some point we'll do like actual proper like 3D models of stuff rather than just kind of placeholders. But I want to figure out like the game mechanics first. Cast shadow, transparency, material override, new standard material, and then we can do things and stuff. Interesting. So does that have any effect on anything? Yes. Okay. So just having any kind of material at least makes it so that we have some kind of like sense of 3D-ness. I think the other thing I want to do for the purposes of being able to... Just trying to figure out where stuff is. Okay, let's call this target 1 as well, because there's going to be multiple targets. We'll figure out nomenclature. No, I guess I'm going to call this target. That's fine. It came back to me that the idea here is that we might have one or more targets that are like the objective of the enemies that are spawning, that they pathfind to and they will attack, right? I think one thing... Well, we have a long ways to go, let's say. Okay. What is this? Oh, that's that box there. Okay, cool. Call it test obstacle. There we go. And also had a material. And this is the ground. Cool. All right. So, what does this all look like together? Oh, right. Now I've remembered what I was thinking, which is that I want to like take the world and I want to turn it 45 degrees. Like the idea with this was to have kind of that isometric perspective, but to make the math easier for the camera, I oriented the camera to, you know, an axis. So like moving left and right is just changing, you know, a direction. But I guess really the only thing that affects is these two objects, and maybe we can we grab multiple things and rotate them? Around this axis. Do we have a preview of the rotation amount? Oh, it's down there in the bottom left. -45, or we could go this way. All right. What does that look like? Okay. Well, that is kind of the visual that I was looking for, of like orthographic, isometric. What do I want? Yeah. This is what I want. Okay. Well, that's all well and good, but where do we go from here? What's next? Well, enemy spawning, destructible obstacles, pathing, which we started working on pathing, 3D, of course we're already doing that, isometric style viewpoint. So can we do strike through on text in this tool? I'm gonna say no. Oh right, this is what we're doing. We're doing like oh right, this isn't Windows. I don't have the Windows key semicolon to put in emoji. Can I do that? No. Okay. just copy one of the ones I already have. Oops. Okay, isometric style viewpoint check, 3D check, move camera and zoom check, cookie clicker style start. What does that mean? What did I mean by that? What did I mean by that? Was this a... Oh, maybe the enemies... I don't know what I meant by that. I wish I would have said more. I think this is something I wrote off stream as well, so I don't think it's something I could go back to a VOD to figure out what I meant. But maybe it'll come back to me. Maybe that'll be something. So enemy spawning is a thing that we could do, right? So right now we have one enemy that's just like statically defined in here. Let's hide the navigation region, an obstacle, and oh, that hides the ground though. Okay. Does okay, yeah, so rebaking it regenerates it based on the ground mesh that's inside of it. Which is fine. I guess a thing will be like, if we are able to dynamically add obstacles, are we going to rebake the navigation region dynamically? Or are we going to do something else? I think no. I think the navigation region stuff is going to be for static obstacles on levels, because we'll presumably have multiple levels with different terrain, which we'll get around to at some point. And then I think there is a thing that we touched on briefly that I removed around, like, where did we see it? Avoidance over here, which I'll have to figure out. And I think the avoidance will be what we use for dynamically created towers, essentially. Things that will be used to... How's that gonna work? Oh. I was imagining that we would both be able to add like static obstacles dynamically during gameplay, as well as like structures that attack the enemy. So yeah, I don't know how that's gonna work. That is a future problem. Present problem is we want to create something that will create more Suzannes, I think is really what it comes down to. Right, so we have our enemy 1 here. With various properties. And how is a enemy spawner going to work? So I think the simplest thing would be we create a node with a script called enemy spawner, and it has the same exact exports that the enemy does, and it is just responsible for instantiating enemy nodes. Like would probably actually just take this enemy and maybe nest it inside of it, and it like creates copies or something along those lines. That could be a good place to start. Yeah, let's mock that up, because I think then that will be something that we would turn into something where we would teach it like how to do progression of enemy spawning. So like do like we could define waves, right? So like spawn this amount of enemies over this period of time with this range of stats, and then we could define that as like a data structure that's like a wave, and then potentially where there are ooh, so we do like enemy set. So it would be like here's a set of enemies with like the stat ranges for them, and then a wave is a list of enemy sets, and a number. Maybe the enemy set has the number, and then the waves has like the duration for the spawning. So like spawns a certain number over a certain amount of time, and then maybe then there's a delay until the next set, or we could have some kind of like distribution thing or something. I don't know. But the idea is this, like all of that information of like how the spawning works and waves and all of that would be in a data structure that would be associated with this enemy spawner. And we could either model that as like, you know, properties over here that are set, or as nodes, I guess. We could do nodes. That'd be interesting. I don't know. We'll see. We might try both, or like try one and it just is good. But for now, I'm just going to create a node. It's going to be a node 3D. It's going to be called enemy spawner. And it's going to have a script. Yep. And it's cool to give these things names, right? And then we're not going to define, like, it's not going to have a prop for the area size, because we're going to use the size of the node. We can't do that, right? Well, it has a position, but we want like a mesh, right? We want to do like what Navigation Region 3D does, where it has a mesh that defines its space. Is I think what I want to do. So we're gonna move this over here off to the side here, so this is a little bit more interesting. We're gonna add a mesh instance 3D, and this can just be like a plane of some size, maybe like 10 by 10. Cool. And it doesn't need a material or anything. This is just to like, here's where you spawn stuff. And I think what we'll do is that the spawner, let's see. So for our enemy, what is its origin? One, Y is up and down, right? So 1 meter. So do we... Yeah, I think the idea will be we're going to figure out some way of generating a random point inside of the mesh. And that's where we'll spawn the enemy. Sure. So we're going to have a export var spawn area, which is a... could be an AAPB. I don't know, I guess it's going to be a mesh instance 3D. And then we'll do spawn interval, and then enemy scene, and then maximum number of enemies allowed at once. Sure. Thinking about what I want to do here, right? So enemy 1 is like a separate scene that we're instantiating in this scene, and then we're populating these values. I wonder. I guess these are defaults. Like, these are the default values for enemy.gd coming from that scene. So I wonder if we can just get away with just doing this for now. And then, what do we want to do here? We're going to want a timer. We'll just call it timer. That's fine. So how I'm imagining this will work, right, is that I will save off this branch as a separate scene. The mesh instance 3D you would have to supply to it, but the timer would be internal to that scene. Is kind of what I'm thinking there. Let's save this script. And now we have some things. A spawn area, we'll just grab this mesh instance 3D. We will quick load our enemy scene. And so that's kind of the config for the enemy spawner. And then what we want to do is we want to say at on ready var timer is the timer. We probably just want to keep an array of the enemy instances that we spawn. And we want to we can probably listen for when the enemies are removed from the map, which in this case there's no mechanism to remove the enemies, right? We haven't created any defenses yet, so we'll spawn 10 is what should happen, and then it will stop. Our enemies will be a node 3D array. Mr. Brainless Society, hello. How's it going? Hope you're feeling better. Let's see. So ready, timer.wait, spawn interval. That is wait, right? Time required for the timer to end. And then on timer timeout. Yeah, so something like this. Let's see here. Still a bit in pain, but the bad part is the lack of energy and motivation to do anything, worried about tomorrow. Yeah. Getting back to work. Well, I hope you find the energy. You were saying that you there was like some kind of surgery, right? Did that happen? If I recall correctly. Gastric bypass. Ooh. Last Wednesday. All right. Well, you're here, so it can't have gone that badly. But I hope you have a swift recovery. I've had only fairly limited experience with kind of the surgical side of things myself as a recipient. Obviously not well. There's nothing that I've said in the past that would suggest that I have ever been a surgeon, but I am not one. I've never been one, but I have. I had a gallbladder removed a number of years ago. A gallbladder, as if there was more than one. My sole single gallbladder was removed a number of years ago. That's been the only surgery where I had to be, like fully sedated for. It was what's it called? A laparoscopic procedure. And that was, you know, it took some time to recover from. Even that. Just had to take it easy for a week or two. So what do we need to do with the timer? So the enemy spawner, we have a timer. The timer needs to be set to, we can ignore wait time. It should not be one shot. We are calling start on it, so we don't need auto start. So I don't think we need to change any of the properties here. Yeah, this was also laparoscopic. Sure. So not like, yeah, I imagine the recovery for like the more open surgery. My understanding is that it takes quite a bit longer. So we need to hook onto this timer timeout with a signal. And so we'll go to enemy spawner and we'll pick. We haven't saved out the file, so that's gonna. Try that again. Okay. Expected type for collection after. Maybe we just do this. What am I doing wrong here? Is this not how we define a array? I forget. Yeah, it's like array of. Yeah, that's not valid. Let's go. Do I still have a GD script reference? Ooh, so bright. Why can't it remember my preferences? Array? Oh, and then, okay. There we go. Okay, so now we should be able to select the method and enemy spawner. Turn these back on. Okay, connect. Cool. So is this script right? So if current enemies that size is less than max enemies, we instantiate an enemy from the enemy scene. We set its global position to be the global position of the spawn area. It's not quite what we want. We add the child enemy, so that makes that instantiated node of a child of this node, and then adds it to the array that we're using to keep track of things. We want to have something like func on enemy exited. No. On enemy destroyed. I mean, yes, but no. We're not trying to do that. What we want to do is we want to say, oh, actually no, this is right, sort of. What we want to do is we want to say enemy connect. What is a signal on a node? Tree exited. And then we pass a callable on enemy destroyed. Tree exited. What is the signature for the signal? It's just like, or maybe child exiting tree? Emitted when the child node is about to exit the scene tree. Usually because this node is exiting the tree, or because the child node is being removed or free. When this signal is received, the child node is still accessible. So we want to listen for child exiting tree. When the signal is received, the child node is still accessible inside the tree. The signal is emitted after the child node's own tree exiting and node. Okay. Huh. Oh, okay, so maybe we want this signal from the enemy spawner. Oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong node. I'm still on the timer. Enemy spawner. Child exiting tree. Connect that. Let's create it. Yeah, and then... Yeah, Copilot, I think, is doing the right thing here. It's just like, hey, if this node is in the array of current enemies, go ahead and call erase. What does erase do? Finds and removes the first occurrence of the value from the array. And then it shifts every element's index after the removed value back. Okay, well, we're not iterating over the array. We are checking to see if the node is in the array, and then we're erasing it. And queue free seems unnecessary because if it's exiting the tree, then presumably it's being freed. Might be true. This, I think, we'll have to actually, we'll check once we implement something that's going to like destroy enemies. Okay, so the other thing I want to do is I want to make a function that says find random spawn position. So what do we think of this? What does get AABB do in the context of this? So it's the bounding box for this visual instance 3D. Okay. I don't think this comments is necessary. Oh, I see. No. I mean, the whole reason I'm using the mesh instance is because we can pick a range here. Yeah, perfect. There's not a, I guess there is not a find random position in a bounds function, or maybe there is and Copilot just doesn't know. Anyway, doesn't matter. What we're going to do is we're going to say, instead of using the position of the spawn area, we're going to use find random spawn position and set the enemy's position there. And so every 2 seconds, this will spawn new enemies. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and remove our initial enemy, and then we're going to play this. All right, I hit the ground. Hold on. The one, the ground and all this stuff should be visible. This mesh instance should be invisible. What is an effective way to do that? I guess the other thing is that maybe there's some other thing besides a mesh instance 3D I could use here to define the space. Add shell node. Like, there's not a AABB node, no. But I could probably. So it seemed like maybe port bar test AABB. So then on the enemy spawner, there is this. But the issue is that this, I wouldn't have a visual of where this is. Right, I wouldn't be able to see this, and I could do some stuff I think with the tool stuff where like we render things in the editor based on things, but I don't want to. So this mesh instance, I guess we can just hide it. Okay, let's try that. So we zoom out, and every 2 seconds the enemy spawns, and you can see it's not always the same place. Sometimes it was over there, and then it's over here. So it's like there's a spawn area here, and the enemies are spawning, and they're all pathfinding towards the target. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep. Now they don't have collision between each other. That's kind of fun, though. Of course, what's going to happen... Oh, maybe they do have collision. Also lag. I guess they do have collision with each other. Who knew? This seems... This feels kind of not... Yeah, it's laggy. I might be doing something wrong here. What do we think? They're trying really hard to get to their target. Interesting. Okay. Did we know that the enemies had collision? So here's the enemy. It has an attack timer, navigation agent. Oh, it has a collision shape around it. Yep. So I expect that's what's happening is that every physics frame is trying to move forward and then it's colliding. Surprise. Well, let's see. What's all this debugger stuff? Anything important? Enemy spawner on timer timeout condition not is inside tree is true. Returning. Weird. Enemy.gd line 85 physics process target and up vectors are collinear. This is not advised as it may cause unwanted rotation around the local z-axis. So target and up vectors on line 85 at ME. 85. So this is where we're telling it where to look. So the name of the arguments are target, up, and use model front. Rotates the node so the local forward axis, negative Z, points towards the target position. So it's basically... It's not happening that many times, right? We're not getting we're getting a few of them. Target and up vectors are collinear. Well, that shouldn't really happen, right? So positive Y. That's just the... Oh. Why does the next path position have a Y component? Let's see, navigation settings. Is there stuff that I need to adjust here? Let's turn off avoidance for now. And 3D avoidance. This was something I had turned on to test things. Pathfinding A star. Turn down the music a little bit. A little loud. Let's see. Path height offset. The height offset is subtracted from the y-axis value of any vector path position for this navigation agent. Navigation agent height offset does not change or influence the navigation mesh or pathfinding query results. Okay. Path design. So these things we set. The enemy script sets on the navigation agent. Is there anything else that we set on the navigation agent? Set target position is global position. Yep. My first thought is like the avoidance stuff is trying to make the objects go like vertically, but I don't know. So stuff happening in the debugger. Yeah, target and up vectors are. Is that happening every time the thing spawns? Yeah, I think so. Okay, so that's probably fine if it's just happening when it's spawning in and it's figuring out what it's doing. I wonder. I'm curious what the. Yeah, it's getting really laggy. Right here. Why is that? And then better. Is this. Are we like. Having some collisions and that's causing some performance issues? Yeah. As soon as they start stacking up, it gets real slow. Why? Visual profiler is the thing. Auto start? Trying something I have never done anything with before. But when it comes to figuring out why there are performance issues, now, keeping in mind, of course, that right now everything is slow, probably because I'm running this. But, you know, generally speaking, when something is not performing the way I want it to, when, you know, hey, these things are happening, and suddenly everything slows down for some reason, profiling is a way of troubleshooting that. So yeah, So the good news is that I can see there are some down there. You can see that the line went way up when we started to see, you know, slowdown. So there, you know, we are seeing that in the profiler, you know, it affecting the frame rate. So if I stop this, can we see? Okay, how do we? Presumably this box is what we're seeing stats on. It's hard to tell. This is where I should probably just like look at the docs. Interesting. Okay, so we are seeing individual frames here. Frame percent, frame time, get to frame length. Wait, is there a bar down here? No. Okay, let's do some reading. Godot profiler. The profiler. It's fun. It's becoming feature complete. No, not quite. Yeah. So we're ahead of the curve here in terms of performance issues. Mine doesn't look like that. Scope of measurement, measurement window. You can change what measurement you are looking at using the measure drop-down menu. The measure drop-down menu? Yes, this one. What is the difference between the profiler and the visual profiler? Am I just looking at the wrong thing? I don't know. Uh-huh. Okay, well, let's try this thing. So maybe clear this and auto start. Go. Stop that, clear that. So in this profiler, physics 3D. Script functions. Well, this one has the time inclusive drop down, like the docs we're talking about. Do we see? Yep. A smoking gun? Yes, we do. But why? What's going on over here? Physics frame time, 16.66 milliseconds. Physics time, 63 milliseconds. Script functions, physics process, 422 milliseconds. Okay, so drop those separate things. Physics 3, like the physics engine is not taking up time. That's fine. It's our physics process, enemy.gd line 74. 74. What are we doing in physics process? We are calling attack target. And so one thing I know is that our enemies, their navigation is not finished because they've not reached where they're trying to go. It is it's getting the current position. It's asking the navigation agent what's the next path position. It is getting the direction to that position. It's telling it to look at that position, and it's trying to set the velocity and move and slide. What does attack target do? This is just like a target change thing, right? And that only happens if there's not a current target, or it's not in the group, or it's okay, cool. So I wonder if we can check to see if we're colliding. If the body collides with another, it will slide along the other body rather than stop immediately. If the other body is a character body 3D or rigid body 3D, it will also be affected by the motion of the other body. Is there something we need to set on the enemy character body 3D? Collision, safe margin, axis lock, collision settings. I mean, one thing is just don't let the enemies collide with each other. I don't think I want to do that. I don't understand what is taking so long in physics process. But it looked like maybe the docs had some suggestions for measuring the time it takes to do things. So we might try this. Twitch wants to run some ads though, so I'm